Howdy folks! Today I'm going to show you proper micropipetting techniques. So the first thing you do when you want to use a micropipette is to figure out what size or what amount of DNA you want to pipette or other sample you want to pipette from one place into another. Each kind of pipette has a different size range. There's 0.5 to 10, 2 to 20, 20 to 200, 50 to 200, and 100 to 1000. You want to figure out from how much you're pipetting which kind of pipette you want to use. You never want to use a sample amount that's either the exact minimum or the maximum of a pipette, because when it's at the minimum or maximum, it becomes less exact. For example, if you wanted to pipette 20 microliters of DNA, then you could use the 2 to 20 or the 20 to 200, but it wouldn't be as exact because it's at the maximum and minimum. Therefore, an easy thing to do could be to use the 20 to 200 and just pipette 10 microliters twice, or any other amounts. The same thing can be done if you had something which is at the maximum of the range, but the middle of another range. For example, if you wanted to pipette 200 microliters or something, you could use the 20 to 200, but that would be the maximum of the range. So a better example would be using the 100 to 1000. For each kind of pipette, once you've chosen what amount you want to pipette, for example, I want to pipette 8 microliters of DNA. You would find which kind of pipette you'd use for that. I could either use a 0.5 to 10 or a 2 to 20. I'm going to use a 2 to 20. When you have your 2 to 20, you can see right here that, well, first, when you have your 2 to 20, you need to figure out which kind of tip you want to use for the micropipette. Each kind of micropipette has a different tip that you have to use. For 0.5 to 10, you'd use white tips. For 2 to 20, 20 to 200, and 50 to 200, you use yellow tips. And for 100 to 1000, you use blue tips. I'm going to be using yellow tips because I'm using a 2 to 20. To put the tip onto the micropipette, you take it and push it slowly into the tip. You don't bang or hit, but you push down firmly so that it sticks. Once you have your tip, you're going to want to set your amount. This micropipette has a red number on bottom. This means that red number is for decimal places. Right now, you turn the pipette to set the number, which turns the decimals up or down depending on which way you turn. For this, I'm going to be using 8, so I'm going to turn it until I have a 0 on top, an 8, and a red O. If you were using a 100 to 1000, you would have a red number on top instead of on bottom. That red number would show that if you had, say, a red 0, an 80, and a 0, it would actually be 800 microliters. And if you had a 1 on top, it would actually, and a 0 and a 0, it would actually be 1000 microliters. For the 0.5 to 10, you would also have a red number on bottom to show decimal places. To hold the micropipette properly, you take your fingers so that your pointer finger is under this swoop so that your thumb can push down over here. Before you take the DNA from your sample, you want to push down until you meet resistance. That's your first stop. After you've done that, what you're doing there is pushing the air out of the tip. You then take your sample, in this case this is blue dyed water, but it would be DNA or another kind of sample, and you hold it at eye level, pushing so that you can see what's happening, putting the tip slightly into the liquid at the side of the tube. Then you slowly release so that it fills the tube carefully to the amount you've selected. After you've done that, you take whatever you're pipetting it into, in this case this tube, and you slowly push down. Once you've reached the first stop, that releases the liquid, and then you push the second top to expel any final pieces of liquid left in the tip. After you've finished, you take this button where your thumb is going to hit it because of how you're holding the pipette, and you eject the tip into the bucket. And that's how to properly micropipette.